Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Back after a one-week hiatus, finishing up the third part of our headache series. Today we're going to be discussing chronic migraine headaches, which not many people associate with neck injuries. But you may not have known, but in our practice here, migraines is probably the second most common condition that we're able to help people with. What I love most about helping someone with a migraine headache is that oftentimes it's something that's been plaguing them for many, many years. And so the amount of life-changing satisfaction that comes when you take that, disease away, it can really affect someone's quality of life. Migraines affect over 36 million Americans every year. It's a huge problem. It's in the top 20 for disability. And if you have ever experienced a migraine, you know what I'm talking about, right? Sensitivity to light, to sound, that feeling of the pounding in your head can cause dizziness and nausea. Oftentimes you need to put yourself in a cold, dark room to just get away from the stimulus. And oftentimes there's a misconception that the migraine is caused by certain things, which I'm going to define as a trigger, right? Whether that's dietary or alcohol. Very common to have hormonal changes or hormonal triggers in women with a monthly cycle. But those really aren't the things that cause a migraine headache, right? So the issues at hand are already in place, and those triggers can be what causes it to come over the edge, and now you are up into that migraine situation. Often what is actually going on is there's usually a history of some sort of head or neck injury in the past. And as our bodies develop, that under the surface injury can start to play a huge role. What they found, they've done a couple studies, upright MRI studies, is that oftentimes chronic migraines can be caused by a decrease or an abnormal CSF flow from the neck up into the brain. CSF stands for cerebrospinal fluid. It's the fluid that travels up and down the spinal cord. It essentially hydrates the spinal cord in the brain. Now, when we have an abnormal flow, let's just say from left or right, what that's doing is it's putting an abnormal pressure system into the brain. So as that is sitting there continuously, it's going to be much more susceptible to those triggers to flare up that migraine headache. When there's an upper cervical misalignment or an injury, the body responds to that like any injury in the body, which is an inflammatory process. So that inflammation in the neck can increase that reduction in CSF flow, creating an imbalance, making you much more susceptible to those triggers. So if you reduce the misalignment, create equal flow into the brain, and we're no longer going to have migraine headaches. It's one of the most amazing things I get to do here in the clinic every day, every week, helping people with migraines. If you know of someone who you think could benefit from this, please share the video, send them my way. Would love to chat with them. And as always, thanks for tuning in. And this was Dr. Dan. And remember, is your head on straight?